This course will cover standards related to hoisting operations, such as planning, recognizing hazards, and then eliminating or controlling them. We will also cover the types of rigging equipment, and how to select the right equipment for the upcoming lift, and how to inspect the equipment before you use it. In addition, we'll cover international signaling standards for communicating with the crane operator prior to and during the lifting operation. We will discuss lift types and controls, determining the weight and center of gravity of the load being lifted, as well as safe working load limits of the rigging equipment and how it is reduced by such factors as sling configurations. You will see how to tie basic knots, and why you should forget you ever heard the old saying that if you don't know how to tie knots, tie lots. This adage does not work when rigging for hoisting operations. No pun intended. We'll also discuss the importance of load control in protecting workers from injury and preventing damage to equipment. First and foremost in the elimination of workplace incidents is planning. When planning for hoisting operations, you need to consider the load and its weight, and the types of equipment that will need to be used, and choose the right equipment for the job at hand. You'll need to consider the weather conditions, such as hot or cold temperatures, or wind and lightning, and how this weather may affect the workers, the equipment being used, and the load being lifted. You will need to identify and manage any workplace hazards, review the job site rules, and determine what permits may be required. Communication between team members must be planned, and your team performing the lift needs to be involved in the planning process prior to the execution of the work. If hand or radio signals will be used, the crane operator, signaller, and personnel involved in the lift will need to review the signals to be used. You'll need to determine what personal protective equipment will be needed and ensure that it is available and that anyone needing to use it is trained to inspect and wear it as required. If the load or the lift operation may expose workers to hazardous materials, safety data sheets may need to be reviewed. You need to ensure the personnel assigned is competent in the tasks they will be performing. The planning stage will also need to include inspecting the path of travel for the load and crane, and whether there is a danger of the rigging equipment or the load getting caught up in or striking structures, equipment, or workers in the vicinity. You may need to plan for barricades to prevent vehicular or pedestrian traffic from entering the lift area. The crane's path of travel must be assessed to ensure the ground conditions and proximity to other cranes and structures will not create a hazard during the lift. You will need to consider the swing radius of the crane and ensure that the planned movements are safe and don't come within unsafe distances for overhead power lines in the vicinity. Overhead obstructions need to be considered. Pre-job planning is critical to having work done safely and must be done with employers and workers involved before the work begins. If any deficiencies or concerns are identified, work must stop, and these concerns must be addressed immediately with everyone involved, whether it's before or after work begins. Work should not begin again until all concerns have been resolved. Workers must be familiar with the emergency response procedures in the event of an accident or incident on their worksite. This would include, but is not limited to, emergency numbers, evacuation procedures, first aiders, location of assembly areas, and/or meeting points.